I would now like to take this time to introduce our speaker. Sherry Bruckner is a licensed attorney and experienced civil and family mediator. A graduate of Hamline University's College of Liberal Arts and William Mitchell College of Law, and certified life mastery consultant through the Brave Thinking Institute. Sherry believes strongly in the transformational power of clarity, compassion, curiosity, and cribbage. She has learned much more about conflict resolution and peace building from her mistakes than from her successes. Here to offer her keynote presentation, Empowering Peace. Please join me in welcoming Sherry.
How do we empower peace? Empowering peace, seriously? I believe you have the personal power to create peace. By the way you look, by the way you listen, and by the way you lead. Now, when I say the way you look, the way you listen, the way you lead, I'm not talking about the way you look, the clothes that you're wearing, although many of you are looking pretty spiffy today, right? I'm talking about the way you look at the people around you, the way you listen to the people around you, and the way you lead. Before we delve too far into this, though, you just watched Sertoma and law enforcement and members of your community bring forward silhouettes representing the 26 lives lost to domestic violence in Minnesota in 2021. That's pretty heavy and powerful stuff. Sometimes we just need to pause. We just need to pause and pay attention to what we are noticing. What we're noticing with our eyes, what we're noticing with our ears, what we're noticing. And I want to invite you on a little journey with me. And before we take this journey, go ahead and take another breath, because I'm going to ask you to step into a courtroom with me. And as we step into that courtroom, I want you to pay attention to what you see and what you hear. As you walk into the courtroom, you might see the place where the judge sits. That bench, right now it's empty. The judge hasn't yet entered the courtroom. You might notice a bailiff standing off to the side. You might notice some attorneys dressed in some gray suits, or a blue dress suit like this. You might hear some murmurs, not sure what people are saying. And you and I are going to walk over to this young woman over here. Her name is Samantha. Now, when you look at Samantha, I wonder, what are you thinking? When you look at Samantha with her bruised face and her broken jaw telling you, I want to drop it, what do you think? When you listen to those words, I want to drop it, what are you really hearing? And as you enter that conversation with her, what are you going to lead with? Maybe you're wondering, what the heck? Why in the world would Samantha drop a protective order, something that's supposed to keep her safe? Well, for those of you who work in the domestic violence field, you know there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons that Samantha would drop that protective order. And when you look at Samantha or anyone in Samantha's position, I invite you to look a little closer. And what do you see? Are you only seeing the bruises and the broken jaw? Because if that's all you're seeing, you're not seeing all of Samantha. Samantha is a daughter, a wife, a friend, a community member, a volunteer. Samantha had a lot of times and places in her life that led her to the moment with that broken jaw saying, I want to drop it. And I invite you to listen to yourself. What are you thinking about Samantha? Are you thinking, oh my gosh, that's so foolish, I can't believe it? Or are you thinking, I wonder what's going on? Are you listening with compassion to her reasoning and respecting that there's probably a reason that may not make any sense to you? And as you decide what to say, are you going to lead with statements of what you think she should do? You should do this, or you should do that. Why don't you just do this, right? Or are you going to lead with curiosity and say, hey, I wonder what you need, Samantha. What would support look like for you? What does safety look like for you? What do you need? You, my friends, do have the power to do something. And maybe you're not going to work directly with victims of domestic violence. Chances are, though, you know someone. According to the National Council Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 women face intimate partner violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 4 men do as well. That means that all these tables of 7, there's probably 2 people who have experienced domestic violence in their lifetime. 2 people at each of your tables. You may not know who they are, and you don't necessarily need to know who they are. But it takes us back to how we look at people, how we listen, and how we lead. So maybe we can apply this in our day-to-day lives, because you don't know who has experienced violence, and how you look at people impacts how comfortable they feel showing up and sharing their truth with you. When you look at people, are you being clear that you value that person? Whether at home, at work, in your community, when you look around your table, are you really seeing the people around your table? One of my favorite quotes by Scott King, when you say, nice to see you, he says, it's nice to be seen. It really is nice to be seen. It's nice for people to see you. Who doesn't want to be seen fully for who they are, right? And so this person before you, sitting across the table from you, who lives across town from you, who sits in the cubicle next to you, they want to be seen. Each of you has value, and you have values, and so does everyone else around you. And when we start to see that, we build more connection. Seeing people fully for who they are, and then being clear as we look at people. What are we doing to show them that we see them? Sometimes we might see someone and say, well, they know I see them, right? I see you, Maria. She can see that I see her, but does she really know until I say, I see you? The way we look at people matters. So I invite you to take a moment and just look at the people at your table and say, I see you. I see you. I see you. It's nice to be seen, right? It's nice to be seen. And when you listen to people, are you really listening? When you're at home, and gosh, right? That's the place where we practice our peace building the most. Are you seeing the person as annoying, frustrating? Or are you seeing this person as a person who has needs and feelings? Are you listening through ears of compassion, listening for those feelings and those needs? Because every day people are telling you, hey, my needs are met, or my needs are not met. And people don't usually walk around saying, my needs are not being met. Or maybe they do. They're usually saying, I'm really frustrated, right? They don't say, I'm really hurting. They say things that express that they're hurting. And so when we listen through ears of compassion, we can understand that hurting and that frustration and that sadness and that anger and that pain is really someone saying, I have a need that is not being met. And when we talk about families, what are some of those needs? They're needs for support, maybe, understanding, connection. People want connection. People aren't saying, hey, I need some connection over here. They're saying, hey, put down your phone. When people say, put down your phone, they're really saying, I need some connection here. But when we hear someone say, put down your phone, it leads to sometimes defensiveness or frustration. Instead of, hey, I'm going to listen with compassion and figure out, I think what they're really trying to say is this. And when you listen with compassion in the workplace, you hear that someone wants respect. People just want respect, and maybe they want some support or understanding. And they might not be expressing it in the most healthy way. So I invite you at home and at work to listen with compassion. And guess what? That extends out in the community as well. When we see people as their job title, the uniform that they wear, when we see people like Samantha as, she's a victim of domestic violence, she's more than that. And that law enforcement officer, more than that. That someplace safe advocate, more than that. Hospital employees, way more than that. Everybody's way more than what you think they are, right? So we need to look more clearly at what we're seeing. We need to listen with more compassion. People are more than a political party. They're more than their belief on some referendum. Everyone is way more than that. So if we could look with a little more clarity and listen with a little more compassion, we might see and understand a little bit differently. And then that leads us to the curiosity, right? I invite everyone here to lead with curiosity. When you lead with curiosity, you have a greater chance to connect with someone. If I'm leading with judgment, fire, hey, this is what you should do, well, they need to be doing that. If they just did that, their life would be way better. No, we need to lead with some curiosity. What's going on for this person? What brought this person to this moment today? And what can I do to provide help or support or understanding? What do they need? And what can I do? And there's so many things that you can do. sometimes when we think, oh my gosh, there's just so much to do, there's so much violence in the world, there's so much violence. What do we do? One thing. I invite you to just do one thing. You don't have to do everything. Just one thing. If you change one conversation that you have with someone in your family, someone in your workplace, someone in the community, if in that conversation you look at them a little bit differently and get a little clearer, like, hey, yeah, this person here, I might feel a little irritation, annoyance, frustration, but I know they are valuable and they hold value. And when I listen to this person that I might be a little annoyed or frustrated with, I'm going to listen with a little more compassion and say, yeah, I really want to understand what they're really trying to say, what they really might be needing in this moment, what they might be feeling in this moment. And then I can leave with a little curiosity and say, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Because when I tell you what you should do, you're probably not going to listen anyway, right? But I can invite you to think about what you might want to do or what you could do. Because when I ask the question, what's the one step you could take in the next week or the next 30 days in the direction of the vision that you want to create, that's easier than changing all these things. And so with that, I'm going to invite you to think about that one step. And on your table, there is a postcard from UCAN. And I'm going to invite you to take a moment and address that postcard to you. And on the flip side, and I didn't bring one up, if someone wants to hand me one, that'd be great. Thanks, honey. On this side, there is a place for you to write. In the next 90 days, I will take the following steps to empower peace in my home, organization, and community. You only need to write down one step. What's the one thing that you will do in the next 90 days to empower peace? Either at home, at work, in your community. Take a moment to write that down. Maybe you decide that you want to volunteer with an organization, like Someplace Safe or UCAN. Maybe you're going to change how you show up in one conversation. Maybe in one social media post, you're going to lean in and get curious why somebody might think differently than you. So who has some ideas on what they're going to do in the next 90 days? Who wants to share? I will come back to you with the microphone, thanks. What's the one thing you will do?
I'm going to continue to speak up, and I'm not going to stop.
Continue to speak up, and not going to stop. Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you. So, something that's been, I'll stand up. Something that's been on my heart for the last couple of years is recognizing people in our community, because we have an amazing community. And if I had my way, I would recognize everybody, because everybody is a hero in my eyes. But this morning, providentially, Someone called me and left a message about giving an award to some folks that were very supportive to her. She's a domestic abuse survivor, and I have not called her back, and she may even be in this room, and if she is, stop and see me. And right now, at this moment in time, I have to call her back and say, we don't have anything like that. And that really kind of breaks my heart. So what I want to do in the next 90 days is build support from maybe an organization that would be interested in helping me create that sort of award for this type of event.
Thank you. So recognizing the good works that people are doing. There are so many things that you can do to empower peace. Alexandria, Minnesota, thank you so much for being the people who show up today at events. And one of the reasons I love this event so much is because I see people from Alexandria who I don't normally always see. And you know what? You all don't think the same way, right? And you may not agree on everything, but I do believe you all agree that domestic violence has to stop. No more of this. No more violence. It's time that we, as individuals and as a community, say, no more violence. There is a different way to resolve our conflict. And we are going to begin today looking at people with a little more clarity and seeing their value and their values. And we are going to listen to the people around us with a little more compassion and understanding. And we are going to lead with less judgment and more curiosity. You can listen, you can look, and you can lead in ways that empower peace. So my friends, please go forth and empower peace.